Welcome to the Ideal Investor Show. Join us on the journey to financial success. Let's go. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Ideal Investor Show. And in this episode, I just wanted to make you aware of something that actually came up in a discussion in preparation of future workshops and stuff like that, but also as part of a note that I posted on our Substack channel, having to do with how is the perspective or kind of like the timeline for things that we do in our life. And part of what triggered it is this old thing that we have had all the time, because, Ideal Wealth Grower is 3 words, but also 2 acronyms, right? Ideal is an acronym and Grower is an acronym, and the G in Grower stands for goal. And there's obviously big goals and small goals. And I've always used this term that Brendon Burchard coined, as far as I know, and that is, let's start with the biggest goal of all. And we call that the big, hairy, audacious goal. From that came the question, well, there are certain things that we all do on a regular basis to different extents that get us closer on the one hand to the big, hairy, audacious goal, but also to smaller sub-goals. And the question then can become, how long are we going to continue to do certain things? So one of them is, for example, how long are you really developing your family, right? Like if you think back when you were young or when you hear people talking about the next generation, it's always, well, they get born and they go through parenting and then they go to high school and then they go to college and then they start a family. So we start a family. How long are we actually working on building and growing and developing the family? Or does it ever really end? Now, I can tell you from my own experience, there is a huge difference when you are parents for small children and minors and, are basically responsible for everything versus being parents to adult children or maybe being grandparents, right? So what's considered family in that context and the role that you have in it is changing. The same thing, same question, what about career? In our show, we say it's the Ideal Investor Show, the path to early retirement. So obviously, we want to help you to get on that path and stay on that path and actually reach early retirement. Is that the end of your career? Would you start another one? What would you do and how long are you actually in a career? That would be interesting to know. Ideal Wealth Grower is who we are, or Ideal Wealth Growers is what we're calling ourselves. Well, how much wealth is enough? Is there ever a point where we would say, okay, we have reached wealth? Or one term that I've been using lately quite a bit is what I call bullshit money, where you can actually buy stuff that is kind of silly, but you have so much money that it doesn't matter. That would be bullshit money. So is there ever an end to wealth creation? Or like for some really, 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 really wealthy people, where they come to the conclusion, okay, I have so much wealth now that I will never be able to spend it all in my lifetime. So I'm now getting into philanthropy, right? That's just one path, but it's one that could work. Now, the other one that's also in that same category is legacy. I would claim you can't really ever stop building your legacy. What might happen is that your legacy is changing because you are changing. Your focus might change. The things that you're interested in might change. Your perspective on stuff might change. So with that, your legacy might change. But the question is, does that apply to you? Or do you feel that if you keep doing certain things and become known for certain things for long enough, that your legacy is established and you don't really have to work on it anymore? And then the last part I want to, invite you to ask yourself about is, have you done or will it ever end to build basically a legal and protection layer around everything that you do and everything that you have accomplished and everything that you have acquired, to make sure that if we think about generational wealth and legacy, that there is at least a good opportunity that what you have been able to create can be turned over to the next generation. Now, typically, you don't really have any influence what the next generation is going to do with it, but having it protected until they take responsibility, is that something that you only need to do once, or you need to only put in place, or is it a continuous thing? Now, obviously, as you keep adding substantial assets to your portfolio and to what you own or what your family trust owns, there's always certain work to add these new puzzle pieces into the existing. What I'm talking about is in the context of legal protection. Are there things that are only really available to you or worth considering when you reach a certain point? Or do you just maintain the same protective layer all your life and then turn it over to the next generation and hopefully they're going to continue it? Those are some of the questions that have come up in this overall context of, okay, what is a big, hairy, audacious goal? What are sub-goals? And how long are we working on them? Or is there ever really an end? And some, I think they never end and some do. So think about it, and maybe when you have some answers, go to idealinvestorshow.com and leave a comment or book a call. Or if you don't want to do that, but you still have like some ideas and you want to rate the show or you want to leave a comment, please do so on Apple or Spotify or wherever you're actually consuming this podcast, because I'm really interested in the engagement. And finally, I want to say, I have really become pretty fond of our Substack channel. So if you go to substack.com and search for Ideal Wealth Grower, you will find us there, and we have newsletters there, we have video content, we have daily posts, we have articles, we have so much stuff there. I would really enjoy you joining us there. And what would even be greater would be if you would become a paid subscriber there, because that's only $5 a month. And the great benefit is that I can actually start building a team, the more of the paid subscribers we have, to help us generate even more interesting content for you that helps you on your journey to early retirement and building generational wealth without you having to pay a whole lot. Because if everybody pays a little, then we can all share. It's kind of like the idea of an insurance model. We all pay into the insurance in large numbers, sometimes hundreds of thousands or millions of people. And then when something bad happens, the few that have the accident have money to actually get back on their feet. So I think that would be a great concept if you wanted to join us on Substack. So please do so and become a paid subscriber ideally, because you will help us generate everything that we do for you and more in the future. So that's it for today. Be well and stay safe, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.